Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Let's take a drive into the city, or known by locals, Manhattan. We're starting off here in Fresh Meadow, Queens, driving south on Utopia Parkway. We're at the intersection at 58th Avenue and Booth Memorial Avenue. This video was taken on a Saturday morning, roughly around 6:30 a.m. And the total commute time is roughly about 17 minutes from here. That's pretty quick compared to a normal rush hour day where the time could be extended to maybe even up to an hour. After passing Booth Memorial Avenue, the first attraction we see on the right is Francis Lewis High School. Francis Lewis High School opened on September 13, 1960, and the school was named after Francis Lewis, a resident of Whitestone who signed the United States Declaration of Independence. I know some family members and friends who graduated from Francis Lewis High School, and I think it's a pretty good school. The fastest way to get into Manhattan from here is to take the Long Island Expressway, also known as the LIE or Interstate 495. However, we needed to go onto the service road, but it's called the Horace Harding Expressway. Before the expressway was built, this road used to be a wide boulevard. It used to be called Horace Harding Boulevard and then previously known as Nassau Boulevard. Horace Harding is named after J. Horace Harding, who was a finance magnate who directed the New York, New Haven, Hartford Railroad and the New York Municipal Railway System. Harding used his influence to promote the development of Long Island's roadways, lending to strong support to Robert Moses's Great Parkway Plan. Harding also urged the construction of a highway from Queens Boulevard to the Nassau County line in order to better access the Oakland Country Club, where he was a member. After his death, the boulevard he helped build was named after him. Horace Harding was not related to the former President Warren G. Harding. As we enter the ramps, this is actually one of the few places where New York City has ramp meters. They've been used on the Long Island Expressway roughly since 1988, and they use red and green traffic signals to regulate the flow of vehicles from access ramps entering the interstate to manage roadway congestion. They also ease traffic flow and benefit travelers both entering and already on the road. In addition to managing highway flow, the ramp meter system monitors how many vehicles are on the entrance ramp to prevent vehicle queues from extending back onto roadways. And these ramps only turn on during rush hours in both directions. This section of the expressway is technically the Horace Harding Expressway. However, the New York State DOT wanted to eliminate confusion, so the whole expressway is technically named the Long Island Expressway. The Long Island Expressway actually begins as what we call Long Island, which includes Nassau and Suffolk counties. However, Brooklyn and Queens is also considered to be located on Long Island, the land, but to reduce confusion, the 5 boroughs of New York City, which includes Brooklyn and Queens, is part of New York City. So we're on the Horace Harding Expressway right now. As part of his March 1951 proposal to the Queens Midtown Expressway, master builder Robert Moses proposed widening an 8.5-mile stretch of Horace Harding Boulevard between Queens Boulevard, or New York State Route 25, to the Queens-Nassau border from about 160 to 260 feet, or 49 to 79 meters. The Long Island Expressway is set to have a distance of 66 miles. However, this is an error calculated by the Federal Highway Administration. The actual distance of the whole road is technically 71 miles, according to Google Maps, connecting from Midtown Manhattan to Riverhead, Suffolk County, Long Island. And despite having the number 4 as the first digit in 495, it's not a connector, bypass, nor beltway of I-95. It doesn't even connect to I-95. It's technically a spur route of I-95 via connection to I-295, the Clearview Expressway. Exit 22B is for College Point Boulevard to connect with Interstate 678 or the Van Wyck Expressway. Traveling southbound on the Van Wyck Expressway can lead you to JFK International Airport, or going northbound could head you towards the Bronx on the Bronx Whitestone Bridge. And exit 22A is for the major Grand Central Parkway or 108th Street. Trucks are not allowed on parkways, but heading westbound or directionally north will lead you to LaGuardia Airport. Between the two exits is Flushing Meadows-Corona Park. We don't see this structure here, but it is home to the Unisphere, a 140-foot tall stainless steel globe. It's built by U.S. Steel and designed by architect Gilmore D. Clark for the 1964 New York World's Fair, and it's the world's largest global structure. At the time of this drive, which was June 6, 2026, it was also home to the New York Governor's Ball, which is a music festival held annually in Flushing Meadows-Corona Park. Flushing Meadows-Corona Park is also home to the New York Hall of Science, as well as an event in the summer called the Queen's Night Market. The Queen's Night Market is a seasonal outdoor market featuring live entertainment and vendors selling food as well as crafts. Each food is prepared on a little paper boat, and each food has a maximum cost of $5. If you want a taste of food culture, because Queens is also known as the world's borough and the best melting pot in the world, feel free to enjoy this event. I think probably taking mass transit is the best way to go because parking in that area is a nightmare. We could see a little bit of traffic just ahead of us. I thought there was going to be a lot more traffic ahead, so I wanted to take exit 19 for New York State Route 25, Queens Boulevard, or Woodhaven Boulevard. We're actually not taking the exit. We're actually going on the collector-distributor lane, so we're going to be paralleling the main line. Around the 1980s, this stretch of I-495 between Interstate 278 with the BQE, Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, and the Grand Central Parkway was frequently carrying 110% of its capacity, and there were frequent accidents. In 1981, officials proposed several improvements for that highway segment, including adding a 2-lane grade-separated service road between the two highways, realigning service roads at 69th and 108th Streets, and improving entrance and exit ramps. And you can see here that we're not exiting, we are just paralleling the main line, Interstate 495. After crossing New York State Route 25 or Queens Boulevard, the expressway changes its name to the Queens Midtown Expressway. However, the roadway is still signed as the Long Island Expressway. You can see an overpass in the distance. We're going to be traveling underneath the main line of the Long Island Railroad, or locally known as the LIRR. The Long Island Railroad is the busiest commuter railroad in North America. The LIRR carries an average of over 300,000 customers each weekday on 735 daily trains, according to the MTA, Metropolitan Transit Authority, who runs the LIRR. We can see exits for our sign 17W for the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. Let's enter back into the mainline LIE. As you can see, driving around here is pretty tight. After this curve, the shoulder, or lack thereof, narrows to only a 1-foot gap. And it's pretty tight. If there's an accident here, you can imagine this area could get backed up easily. If you want to exit to Interstate 278, you have to take the right 2 lanes. I think the New York State DOT should add the modern arrow per lane or APL signs to guide motorists to know which lanes to take when exiting this roadway. Because past exit 17W, that Jersey barrier for the exit constantly gets crashed and has a lot of accidents. We're entering the double-deck section of Interstate 495. This is not original to the roadway, and it was constructed throughout the 1960s and 70s. The reason why this was built is because the original ramp from westbound 495 to westbound I-278 in Queens was so congested that a traffic light had to be installed on that ramp in 1962. So state officials planned to reconstruct the interchange, although the project was delayed for several years. In addition, they planned to build a 6-lane viaduct above the existing highway between I-278 and 58th Street, which would carry traffic to and from the Queens Midtown Tunnel. In 1966, the New York Board of Estimate approved plans to reconstruct the interchange with I-278 as a closer-leaf interchange. The project was planned to cost around $70 million, equivalent to $515 million in 2024, and take 3 years. State officials awarded a contract for the project in June 1967, and work began that October. A ramp from the eastbound 495 to 278 opened in 1968. We're going to be taking Interstate 278 west towards Brooklyn. You can also go back on Interstate 495 to go towards the Queens Midtown Tunnel. As we approach Interstate 278, or the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, or BQE for short, this is one of the best views of the New York City skyline, located towards our right. Up ahead, we see this new cable-stayed bridge called the Kosciuszko Bridge. People sometimes call it the Kosciuszko Bridge, but that's incorrect. This bridge crosses over Newtown Creek, connecting Maspeth, Queens, where we are now, towards Greenpoint, Brooklyn. The bridge consists of a pair of cable-stayed bridge spans, which the eastbound span opening in April 2017 and the westbound span opened in August 2019. Originally, an older bridge, a truss bridge of the same name, was located at the site of the westbound cable-stayed span and originally opened in 1939 and closed and demolished in 2017. This bridge carries 9 lanes of traffic for westbound lanes, 1 lane for exit only towards exit 34, Meeker and Vandervoot Avenues, and 1 lane blocked off by a Jersey barrier for a bike lane and pedestrian path to see the gorgeous Manhattan skyline. Interstate 278 is Brooklyn's only interstate highway, meaning that it's a major truck route for Brooklyn because trucks cannot use parkways such as the Belt or Jackie Robinson. There is also unsigned Interstate 478, but that's not an interstate highway, as that is designated for the Hugh L. Carey Tunnel or Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, or most people just call it the Battery. Arguably, it's one of the most congested roads, and you can see that the speed limit is only 45 miles an hour. This section of I-278 opened in 1950 and was rebuilt throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. You can see that the lanes are pretty narrow, only about 10 to 10.5 feet wide compared to the standard 12 feet we have today. And look at this. Despite its expansion, it actually has no shoulders. So one accident can cause a lot of problems. We're also driving through the neighborhood of Williamsburg, and the roadway cannot really be expanded much more because Williamsburg is a populated neighborhood, as well as when Robert Moses designed this highway, it did cut through their street grid. We're going to be taking exit 32A for the Williamsburg Bridge. This bridge is technically free, however, due to congestion pricing, you have to pay a toll just to enter into the central business district of Manhattan. The main daytime rate is $9, with Easy Pass, of course. This rate is charged on weekdays from 5 a.m. through 9 p.m. Whether it's a holiday, it doesn't matter. You're going to be paying that same price. On weekends, the time is shifted differently from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. All other hours, you're charged the overnight rate, which is 75% of the current toll. 75% of $9 is $2.25, which is the toll that we paid crossing this bridge. I've talked about congestion pricing on this channel, and very skeptical of the MTA, what they're doing with this money. I don't think people remember this, but tolls are set to increase to $12 in 2028 and $15 in 2031. Remember that, New York, what you voted for. We're on the Williamsburg Bridge, one of the 4 free East River crossings. Originally known as the East River Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge was completed in 1903 and at 7,308 feet or 2,227 meters long. This was the longest suspension bridge span in the world until 1924 when the Bear Mountain Bridge took over. In addition to roads, walkways, there's also New York City subway tracks. They carry the J train at all times, Z trains during rush hours in the peak direction. Both of these trains have a bullet-colored brown to represent the Nassau Street line. It also carries the orange M train at all times except late nights. The bridge had 4 trolley tracks, which is why you can see the lanes were originally narrow, which were replaced with roads in 1936 and 1949. The bridge underwent a substantial renovation in the 1980s and 1990s following the discovery of severe structural defects, and was again being renovated in the 2020s. The Williamsburg Bridge main span is 1,600 feet or 490 meters long and is carried on 4 main cables, which are suspended from 2 335-foot or 102-meter towers. Unlike similar suspension bridges, the side spans are supported by truss work and additional towers. The bridge reaches a maximum height of 135 feet or 41 meters above mean high water at the middle of the river, and the deck is around 122 feet or 37 meters above mean high water at either shoreline. That's going to do it for this drive. Hope you enjoy it. In the next video, we're going to be driving through Manhattan streets to get to New Jersey. Hope you look forward to that.